Hey guys, my name is Trevor Steele and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about this paramotor right here, which is the MacFly Travel Cage 150 with carbon spars. This is the newest, latest, and greatest paramotor here at the Backcountry PPG paramotor fleet. This one is Judson Graham's paramotor that I got just for him. And let me tell you, this thing has absolutely blown me away. Coming from all the other paramotors, I have a slew of paramotors. I have been extremely impressed with what the Mateos family has built right here. I was a little bit hesitant. I flew one back at Salton Sea, and I can't say it blew me away when I first touched it down there, but after getting this and spending more time on this paramotor, I have to say without a doubt, this is probably the best flying paramotor on the market, and it's the one that has me the most excited. I know I get excited about most everything, but this one right here has just blown me away. It's also blown Judson away. So let's talk about a few things right off the bat about this MacFly paramotor. This one is the MacFly Travel Cage. They make 3 different cage versions. They make a foldable cage, they make a standard, and they make a travel. This here is the 150 travel with the carbon spars upgrade. They come standard with titanium spars, and I think for 800 and some change, I'll put the price here, you can upgrade to these carbon spars. Now, the unique thing with these carbon spars is it completely eliminates all torque steer. You experience absolutely no torque steer. It is the most perfect straight flying paramotor I've ever touched. The cool thing as well, if you're experiencing too much torque steer compensation, meaning you're turning to the left, which happened to me down at Salton Sea, you can actually press and straighten individual blades. So if you're experiencing too much torque steer, you can straighten 2 blades. Now you're getting less torque compensation, right? If you're getting too much compensation and turning left on power. Now you can remove it basically by shifting 1 blade forward. I have to say, love that. Alex Mateos walked over after I flew it and he was like, too much compensation, and he straightened it out. And I was like, that blows my mind. Right off the bat, I was able to get this in a beautiful black. This outer cage is aluminum, and I had it powder coated from MacFly to be black. I chose the green color. There's a slew of different colors. I'll put them all up here. I went for the green and the black combo with red on the harness. I'm not sure if you can choose a different color on the harness. Actually, I know you can't, but I think the green and red kind of combo looks really, really good. When we were taking this apart, or when we were assembling this, there were a few things that kind of caught me off guard. We actually had to bolt on these swing arms. I went for the acro arms. I'll talk about all the options and the different reasons why you'd want them here in a minute, but we had to bolt these on. With most paramotors, you get them and all you have to do is assemble the cage. The only thing we had to do with this that was out of the ordinary was bolt on those swing arms, which took, I don't know, a whopping 30 seconds. I can't say it was a big deal, but it was one of the things that we had to do. This harness right here is a MacFly exclusive. It is called the Soul Rev harness. This is their new, latest and greatest harness. They have a few different versions. This is definitely the version you want, or the dudek harness. This one we have found to be a little bit on the more tricky side to get into the seat. Once we've played with it and adjusted a little bit, it's been better. But I think, you know, if that's something that you struggle with, then the dudek comfort seat might be an better option for you. You can get either or. I will say though, coming from all my other paramotors having a dudek harness, I find this to be more comfortable on the ground and in the air. There's no vibration. I have a couple other paramotors where I feel vibration in the air, and about an hour and a half I get airsick. I don't experience any vibration on this paramotor. It's just like perfect. The one thing I've kind of noticed is Alex Mateos, the guy who designed this, just wanted perfection for him. He wanted something that he could fly and that would be perfect in every way, shape, and form. I'm not saying it's perfect, by no means. Every paramotor sucks in their own way, but I have found this to, again, really blow us away. I love how this harness actually buckles. It's very different. It comes up and it's just 2 buckles right there and right here. Now I know what you might be asking. This is going to hurt the junk area, right? Wrong. This does not hurt the junk area. I've experienced no junk function uncomfortable moments with this harness, which was something that crossed my mind when I first looked at it. So I'm pretty satisfied with that. I also like how it's only those 2 buckles. You know, you get some harnesses and man, it's like 17.5 buckles just to put it on. They can be difficult to find. Not this one. This one's easy. This one's simple. It's quick. and it's comfortable. Like I mentioned, I find this to be more comfortable than the Dudek Comfort harness that I regularly run, both the lightweight version and the regular Dudek harness. I find this to be more comfortable. Now, I don't know exact weight 'cause I didn't weigh it, but according to MacFly, this weighs 54 pounds, which comes in under the industry standard, which is 56 pounds. For reference, a Parajet Maverick standard, not a Mav Max, is also 54 pounds. This is running a 150 cage, running a 140 propeller. The way the industry has been going in recent years, a 140 prop is an absolute must. As soon as you taste more power, you really just can't go back. And that's definitely the case with this. It's running the 140. I will say it's a little bit on the weaker side. The one downside to the MacFly is the cage flex is noticeable. I will say if you want less cage flex and a stronger cage, there's a couple things you can do. You could put the titanium spars on, not the carbon spars, and you can add a crossbar. There's an attachment point right here as well as right here to add a crossbar which is going to make that cage stronger than pretty much all the other paramotors that I have. If you're worried about that cage flex, that's definitely a thing you can do. I'm probably going to order one just to have it, to try it, to see what it's like. We might end up keeping it on if it looks cool. If it doesn't, maybe we'll take it off. Cage flex is really only a concern if you're doing power forwards. I would say this is probably not a power forward paramotor, at least not without the crossbar. We are running the spacer. Definitely run the spacer for that prop right here. You don't want to have that prop, you want to have that prop as far away as possible. That's why we've got that spacer on here. Now, I've got this paramotor equipped with the Vitarazi Moster 185 Plus. That is just the industry standard. It's the best paramotor engine out there for the everyday pilot. I would, without a doubt, go with that engine. It's easy, it's effortless, parts are readily available, and everybody knows how to work on it. No doubt, that's the one I'm going for. Now, the fuel tank, you have a few different options. If we walk over here, we can see the liter markings. You've got a 10 liter, I believe a 12 liter, and a 17 liter. I went with 17 liters for this one because we, flying here in Utah, go on long cross-country flights on a regular basis. We want as much fuel as possible. So we went with a 17 liter fuel tank. Now, let's talk about a few of the options, a few of the things that are exclusive to MacFly that you want to kind of figure out as you get into a MacFly paramotor. First off, there's three different cage sizes. There's 128 centimeters, there's 138, and there's 150. The 128 is going to run a 125 prop, the 138 is going to run a 135, and the 150 is going to run a 140. I went with the 150. I'd probably recommend the 150. If you're wanting to spin a smaller prop, still get the 150 because then you have more clearance. That's a little secret. If you want more clearance in your cage, get a bigger cage, run a smaller prop. On all my school units, I run a 130 even though they're 140 capable. It gives a little bit more clearance. So that's the first thing that you kind of got to figure out. Second thing is, do you want these carbon spars? Without the carbon spars, you're going to experience a little bit more torque steer. If you want all the torque steer gone, you add these carbon spars. These swing arms are slanted to counteract for that torque steer. So without the spars, there is torque compensation that is still very good. But those carbon spars add just that little extra spunk, and I personally think they're the coolest looking thing since sliced bread. I would not buy this without them, but they are a little bit more expensive. I think they're $800 and something. We'll put that price up here. So that's the first thing you got to figure out. Now, I would definitely recommend this harness. This Soul Rev harness, as it's called, is just so comfortable. I love this harness. There's two size options. I believe there's a small, medium, a large, extra large. If you're over, like, say 170, I'd go with that large, extra large. If you're under 170, I'd go with this small, medium. There's differences if you're super tall or super short, but that's kind of a rough outline. Now, the other thing that you'd have to figure out is, do you want standard swing arms or do you want acro arms? The acro arms come with this extra bar across right here. Now, Judson has his selfie stick zip tied on here, but this bar right here is what's added in the acro arms. I went with the acro arms because I wanted the extra strength. I didn't necessarily need it, but I wanted it. Just in case Judson decides to go out and tumble tomorrow, I didn't want him bending swing arms or breaking swing arms, so I went with that acro arm. So a few options, right? You've got the cage, Do you want the spars? What swing arms? What harness? The next thing is the fuel tank size. You've got a few different sizes. You've got a 10 liter, a 12 liter, and a 17 liter. 10 liters is 2.5 gallons, 12 liters is nearly 3 gallons, and 17 liters is somewhere around 4.5 gallons or so. I went with 17. You can always just put less fuel in the gas tank, which is why I like to have the bigger tank options. Throttles. I actually ordered this without a throttle, and I installed a off-grid aviation throttle. This is without a doubt the cream of the crop, best of the best throttle in the paramotor industry. Cruise control is hard to beat. We did an 1,100 mile cross-country flight back in September, and I just popped it on, stuck it on a carabiner, just chilled for hours on end. It was amazing. I would definitely recommend this throttle. You can order it without a throttle, and then I can send you an off-grid. I carry them in stock at Backcountry PPG. I've got 5 of them sitting on a shelf right now, ready to go to you. So that's kind of that rough outline. Now the main frame is actually made out of titanium. I'm not sure if these swing arms are. They kind of feel like they are. So I would say the main frame and core is made out of titanium. When you do order these carbon spars, which I would recommend, you also get the titanium ones. So if you're worried about the cage flex, or you just want beefier ones because your buddy's going to fly it or whatever, you could put those titanium ones. Say you bend one or break one, you won't bend it, you'll break it. You can put that titanium one on. You could hypothetically run one titanium and the rest carbon. You know, there's options. When we assembled it, I will say figuring out this cage and netting was a little bit on the tricky side, mostly because I didn't watch the how-to video. If you just watch the how-to video, it is really easy, and I'm sure Judson put in his video the assembly. If not, maybe we'll make a separate video. Otherwise, click the link down below for Alex Mateos's assembly video of this. Once I watched the video, it was very easy. Now, you've got kind of how the system works and the way netting works in general. Netting is nothing more than 2 things: a reference to where your hand is and a way to strengthen the cage. Netting on a paramotor is not to protect you from the propeller. There should never be a situation where that netting needs to stop you from going into the prop. You should never ground start a paramotor. It should always be on your back. If it's on your back, then you don't have to worry about that prop eating you through the net. Okay? This netting is designed to strengthen the cage to the center this way, strengthening this cage flex. And that's exactly what it does. So it comes down to here. You've got a buckle right here with a tensioner. So if you have a little bit looser, or say you bend this cage section a little bit and this net gets a little loose, you can actually tighten that back down. One of the most important things for cage strength is having a tight net. If you have a loose net, you're going to have a weaker cage. Think of a bicycle wheel. Without the spokes, you can easily bend it. With the spokes, there's no way you're bending it off a 10-foot jump. The same applies to netting. You want to make sure you have tight netting, and this you can tighten back down if for whatever reason you bend it. Now, I will tell you, I did break this piece right here trying to tighten on the netting. I stuck a wrench through it and I pulled and I broke it. So be careful. I will say there's some pieces on it that are maybe a little bit on the fragile side with the intent of saving weight. Can't say I need this to be strong. That piece doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I just need to know now not to pull so hard on it, because Mr. Beefcake over here, to reference Judson, broke the MacFly first time pulling it out. Okay, a couple other things that were pointed out to me that I want to also talk about. This little spring right here, kind of cool. I like the idea of it. But I've heard cases of it eating away at the cord, and I can already see it starting to here. People told me I need to either put a piece of tape or heat shrink right here to keep that netting or that cord getting eaten from this. So Judson, we need to do that before that gets to be a problem. The other thing that I want to point out is adjusting this is kind of not my favorite. I really like a adjustment where you unbolt bolts and move it, or it's like set points that you move to. This you just loosen and move up and down on the swing arm. It allows you to get it exactly perfect where you want it, but I just haven't loved it because I can already tell that side's farther than that side. And that's just one of those little things that my OCD brain doesn't necessarily love. You can easily make markers. You can take a tape measure around and put little marks at different spots and then move them to those. There's definitely ways around it. I wouldn't mind if they would do that and set little spots, maybe mark them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It doesn't have to be a lot. That would make our lives a little bit easier. It's one of those things that maybe I could point out. out. As far as this harness goes, a few other things. There are huge pockets on it. You've got this massive pocket down here that goes all the way down into that you can fit stuff. You've got this pocket here. You also have a under harness pocket, if I can figure out where the zipper was, all the way over here. So you can unzip this and get all the way in the whole harness, which is super, super nice. I like that. It's definitely bigger than the dudek harness under seat section. No, the dudek harness, there's a little section underneath you can stick stuff. That's definitely bigger. Now, last thing that I'll talk about, and that is just moving around the paramotor as well as strapping the paramotor down. They have this little system right here that kind of trips you out when you're flying because you think it's going to go back into the prop. It's not. It's just a little trippy that comes all the way up here, and you kind of stick it through like that, and that keeps the harness up and out of the way. That is light, easy, and unlike the dudeks that stretch and that bungee becomes less bungee, that does not become less bungee. You can step in and you can see there's a good spot right here and right here to grab. Easy to move around for ground, ground walking a paramotor. You do this all the time. I like that. It's the simple things. The other thing is there's a good spot right here to actually attach a ratchet strap right there and tighten it down. Not every paramotor has a good spot to hook a ratchet strap and actually tension down a paramotor. This does. All that being said, this might just be my new favorite paramotor. I think after I sell a couple of those paramotors that I have, I'll be replacing them with this MacFly. I would say without a doubt, this is the best flying paramotor I have ever flown. I've flown a lot of paramotors. I've probably flown most every paramotor at this point, and this one is the best flying. The weight shift is clean. It's super easy. It's the most flickable I've ever flown. I can't say I've flown anything that has better weight shift. Super fun, no torque steer. The way it goes around and carries itself through high up wingovers is probably the best out there. Some paramotors, you get a little bit of twist as you go way up. This you don't, and I want to say that's because of these spars, or these carbon fiber spars, and the way that this hoop is designed. All around, big fan. Happy with it. If you're interested in more information about this MacFly paramotor or any MacFly paramotors, Backcountry PPG is now an official dealer for MacFly. We'd be happy to answer any and every question. If you're interested in ordering one, visit our website, Backcountry PPG, or contact us directly at info@Backcountry PPG or at 801-599-1684. You can text or call that number. My name is Trevor Steele, and I will see you all in the next video.